First one on, welcome. Awesome, your first one. I love it. All right, guys, we are here to talk about donkeys and if they're safe. Let me know where you're watching from, and Dan will be joining us in just a moment. Did you guys go play with your donkeys today? We are inside because it's snowing out. Kind of feel like a big baby because in January I would have been fine with that, and right now I don't even want to be outside while it's all snowy out. But what did you guys do with your donkeys today or this week even, guys? Courtney from Colorado, welcome. Glad that you're here with us. Awesome. So what we're talking about is safety. We get a lot of questions, guys, about is the donkey safe with kids or with goats or chickens with their feet? Hey, Dan.
Hey there.
Crew from Utah, and I was just walking my donkeys around. Awesome. That's totally awesome. Are you guys getting snow in Utah like we are here? It feels like January outside.
Yeah,
It's like kind of a shocker. We were wearing t-shirts earlier this week.
it was like 85, 84 degrees Monday,
It was
Tuesday, Wednesday.
amazing.
And now
That's snow.
it's been snowing since 9 a.m.
Like, it's actually got white. A lot of rain in Utah.
Y'all really needed it rain down there, didn't you? The reservoirs were getting.
Corey's on from Dotson. Awesome. Great to see you, Corey.
Corey, is it snowing up there?
You guys are probably getting hammered with it up there.
They need it up there way worse than we do.
That's true. All right, so today we're chatting about the donkeys and if it's safe. So just because they look calm doesn't mean that they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like donkeys, they're so stoic, guys, right? Stoic Sundays. Bit of rain in southwest Colorado. We'll take it. Super bad drought.
Right on.
Well, it's good that you're getting it. Yes. So when we bring home a donkey or we're trying to decide if this donkey's going to be safe or not, remember, we're like evaluating an individual mind. It's a species. It's not a species behavior. It's an individual.
It definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is. And they certainly are individuals.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah.
So what people miss early, like most unsafe situations with your donkey, they don't start big, guys. They start small with a donkey that's maybe coming into your space. They don't recognize that we have a bubble. Like they have a bubble, especially when they're wild. If you guys are dealing with a wild donkey, when we first start working with them, they're just like, my bubble is 20 feet around me.
Yeah, and some of them they've got a 10-foot bubble, and some of them have always the other edge of the pasture bubble. They all have different bubble sizes when they're wild.
But they don't always recognize that we have a bubble. Right? We want to teach them that we have a bubble and I can come later on, right? Not right when they're wild, but later on, we can come into your space, but you don't get to come into mine.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And these are learned things. They're totally learned things. So you're going to have some donkeys that are more curious and they want to come up to you. And when they're wild, I let them come up to me. At that point, I'm not trying to create so many rules. But if they were walking up to me like with intention and kind of straight, kind of fast, I'm
Yep.
going to be a little bit more taking back my space.
Yes.
Because their intention, it would not be clear at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if they're hesitating and stuff, is it good or bad to have my wild burro in a green pasture? So Dan and I were just talking about that. Like right now, our burros, not the wild ones that are untouched for the adoption center, but our donks are out on pasture. We're going to be bringing them in, guys.
Yeah, we're bringing them in. We've had freeze thaw, getting the moisture. The pasture's getting really, really green. I'd pull them off that pasture until the spring grass is matured, because the spring grass has got a lot of sugar in it.
And that happens in the spring and in the fall.
Yep.
Where it gets really, really sugary. Remember, donkeys, not literally, guys, but they can kind of live off from air. They just think about food. And we're not just watching their weight. The weight is one of the things we don't want them to become overweight, but the other thing is their body health. Like not literally diabetes, but when they're eating all that sugar in the grass, they can start to have problems with their metabolic system and like their feet.
Their feet, they can founder, and I don't know if anyone on here has tried to get a donkey to lose weight. It's
It's very difficult.
You're gonna have to get them a job on a pack string. They're gonna have to get packed every day to lose that weight. So do what you can to avoid opportunities for them to pack that extra weight on.
I forgot to go on Do Not Disturb. I wonder if I can do it. Bear with me, guys. No, I can't. Hopefully I don't lose. If I lose sound, let us know, but I forgot to go on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so get them off the green grass, guys. Now, some people out there, they have more of a lush grass.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of grass here, being in Montana.
Right, and our pasture's mostly crested wheat, which is not really a high sugar. But even so, we're pulling all of our donkeys off of the green this week. I'd rather not have them have unrestricted access to a round bale, but temporarily that's a lot better option than unrestricted access to nice green spring grass. We got a question there.
Should I start pack saddle training my wild burro? They're about 1 year old. Absolutely.
Yeah, light loads. Get them
no weight. Push your saddle on, but no weight.
Right. Yeah. Get them used to that process. Yeah.
The more we can do with our donkeys when they're young like that, with a year old, our donkeys are a product of the experiences that we give them. So the more experiences we can give them, and especially when we're doing it and it doesn't matter. Like if you are in the back country and you're bringing in your camp and you're trying to, put your groceries on their back and you got one taken off and all your groceries are scattered throughout the mountains, or you're hunting and your gun's no longer with you, right? We don't want to introduce them to it when it matters. We want to introduce them to it when we have all the time in the world.
Yeah, you want them so used to it. It's just muscle memory. It's no big deal. You when you're actually packing something meaningful, you don't want that to be an experiment. You want to have absolute confidence it's going to go well.
Right. There are equines with their own minds. Those things can go sideways even when they're trained. So take that time ahead of time. Now, let's see. So safety, and keep asking your questions as they come up. We will absolutely keep answering them. But most situations with safety, they don't start with like a big thing. Whether you're packing or teaching them to pick up their feet or be around kids, all of that starts small. So standing too close to us ignoring that we have a bubble because it's on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe they're pinning their ears because they want to demand something from us. We don't want to allow that either. Now, if they're pinning their ears, I'm not going to like start screaming at them or run after them or hit them. I'm not going to do any of that.
I wave a hand in the air, but I'm not gonna overreact.
Right.
Yeah.
And it comes down to groundwork at that point. So the more we can do to lay a clear foundation of what the expectations are, they're willing to follow through and listen.
Yep, absolutely.
To be part of the team. And a lot of people don't think that the little ear pinning or coming into your space matters. But it does.
They do their best to communicate their discomfort. I mean, none of them really seem to be mean, as in like they want to hurt somebody. But when they're uncomfortable and nervous,
that's when people get hurt.
Yeah, they're fearing for their life.
Now, I can say, do as I say, not as I do, because if you go out in the pasture with all of our Jennies and Seamus, they're coming into our space. But most of them I can ask to go out of our space and they're just fine, except for Holler. Holler is the one that we brought home, and she was never taught any of that stuff. So she's only learned what we've taught her so far, and she needs a lot more practice with that. All right. Problems with them coming into my space, especially my 18-month-old Jack. And then how to set the bubble boundaries. Okay, so with your 18-month-old Jack, that's like really common at that age. And with a Jack, are you gelding your Jack? Because really, unless you're going to breed them, there's no reason not to. And you would actually be benefited to gelding them unless you're planning on breeding.
You know, a common thing we do around here with our domestics who come into our bubble a little bit too bluntly
They are a
is we
little
do a
mean.
lot of the chicken wiggle your elbows, just make a little bit of commotion when they're coming into your space.
Even just our intention, like standing up, walking bigger to him. He's breeding. Okay, so he's breeding. I'm trying to see that comment. I like there it is. Okay. Okay, so you're using him for breeding and he's very afraid of things. So including the chicken wings. So do less sooner. So when they start to come into your space, like you might be able to just kind of make yourself a little bit bigger, kind of walk at them and have them even lean away, and then groundwork. So with an 18-month-old, I would definitely be doing groundwork, and that's going to teach them more than chicken arms will.
Yes, yes. And you know, when you do chicken arms, you don't need much verbalization. They really pick up on body language a lot better than yelling at them.
Or keeping a flag. Like if your donkey, if they're too terrified of your chicken arms, you could keep a flag out there, and you don't have to be waving it around, just picking it up and making sure that they know it's just an extension of your arm to say, "Don't come in my bubble." Oh, he's not afraid of the chicken arms. Yeah,
Oh,
so keeping a flag out there with you,
yeah,
chicken arms, whatever you can do to make it clear, because that's what we're trying to do is have clear expectations, and we, in order to have clear expectations, we have to be consistent, because that's one of those little things that starts off cute and becomes dangerous,
yes, exactly.
especially with the jack. Now other people, they talk about, are they safe with my kids? So with a jack, I would never assume that a jack is going to be safe with your kids because they have hormones raging,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
never ever assume your jack is going to be safe with your kids. Um,
Yep.
we have a jack here right now. That's our friend's jack. He's going to be leaving in just a couple days. And that jack is the sweetest jack, well mannered, super amazing jack. But we still treat him like he's a jack. Like we don't let our guard down when we're with him.
Yeah. In particular, he's out there with Jennies who are coming. There's breeding going on out there, so he's
Mm-hmm.
not thinking with all of his mind at times. So even though he's just a big puppy dog,
Right.
this is a time when he might not be a puppy dog just for a split second. That's all it takes.
Right. Right. They're strong guys. All right. So with kids, donkeys can be safe with kids, but it's not automatic. That's good. So she trained her. She or he. Oh, Banjo's here. I had to train my kid on jack behavior. Yes.
Yes, and you know, Mary Jo has been leading into safety, is going into answering various questions, and I think what inspired this topic on today's live is we've been advertising heavily um, as an adoption center to adopt these wild donkeys. And so via the internet, the questions coming in from people, and if we can just educate one person on this whole um, segment, it'd be a success. We have people asking about the wild untouched donkeys. Are they safe with children? Are they safe with my goats? Are they good sheep protectors? Just people don't seem to understand that when you're talking about a wild, untouched burro, nobody knows. We have to create a safe donkey. So, for those of you who don't have donkeys and you're thinking of getting a wild donkey, please understand they are wild.
Think
Nobody
of a
is.
deer or an
Yeah,
elk,
it's
a
a
moose.
deer. It's like you can put a deer in a pen. Um, and so then the work is on you, and the time is on you to create a safe animal. But apparently, some folks they just don't know that they're wild. Nobody's put them with sheep before. They've never seen a chicken, and I sure the heck wouldn't throw a kid in a pen with them until they've been worked with.
And I think that people misunderstand, or it's hard for people to imagine this. They look like a donkey. A Mustang looks like a horse, right? They
Right.
don't look any different than a domestic animal other than they have the tattoo.
Yep.
So I think it's really deceptive to people. And then there's so many domestic donkeys out there that we're not given the courtesy of a good deal. And because of that, that donkey has like a bad taste in its mouth over people, and then they can become unsafe, or they're unsafe because somebody cuddles them, but they don't keep the balance. Oh no. So Banjo said he just had his jack start picking up his ram and ram his leg in front of him, following him. Is pretty gnarly. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And somebody else asked if they should just wave their flag around to scare their jack or their donkey. And no, I wouldn't. So think of it as a tool. Imagine you're talking to your kid, and you're like, I want you to take that cup and go put it away. So I'm using my hand to point, right?
Yep.
I'm not using my hand to create fear. I want you to take that cup and go put it away. If we are communicating with a flag, it's the same thing. I want you to back up a little bit. I want you to stay over there. All we're doing is helping the donkey know, and it's an extension of our hand. Nor do I want to make that donkey not afraid of the flag, and here is why. Donkeys tend to not want to move anyways. They push into pressure is their normal go-to response. So if we spend very much time at all saying, don't be afraid of my flag, don't be afraid of my flag, when it's time to get them to move, it's going to take so much effort.
Mm-hmm.
But do spend a little bit of time out of necessity, not just ask to move for no reason. Donkeys don't like to do anything for no reason. But when you're feeding them, ask them to move. When you're moving pens, like we have the advantage of having so many pens. So we go down
Yeah.
to work and we're moving 10 donkeys at a time, right?
To 10 separate pens.
Yeah. So now they have to learn how to move from my pressure. And there's times, normally I'm the one moving them, right? There's times where I have to jump up and down and wave my arms because I don't always bring a flag with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, they start to understand what that, I become predictable. And now I can just walk at them with intention and they move.
And that's something how we have 10 donkeys that we've only been working with just for a few days. And when we go to sort them into 10 different pens, yeah, it's a bit of a it's a bit of a fire drill that first time. But 2 or 3 days in a row, they figure it out real quick.
I'm 12. Oh, we got a 12-year-old. I'm 12, and I bought two wild burros, and I'm training them myself, and I've had them for a month, and I'm already getting ready to pack saddle train them. That is so
Good
awesome.
work, amazing, good job.
Yeah,
That's
good job.
awesome, fantastic.
Now, all donkeys are different, guys. So sometimes you get a donkey, and in a month, they can be doing all that stuff. Like all the stuff that we would consider the basics, accepting a brush, haltering, picking up their feet, loading into the trailer, all that stuff. And then other ones take forever because they're all so different. But recognize where your individual donkey is at. Are they ready for more, or are they still nervous? Because that's where, when we don't recognize those little things, that's where things change from I'm a willing participant, that's what your donkey is saying to you, I'm a willing participant, to I'm uncertain, I'm unsure, and now I might choose a path that could be dangerous to the people around them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Not because they're mean, they're not mean.
No.
They don't start off that way. So donkeys can absolutely be safe with kids, but they don't just start off that way. We as adults and the people who are training them, like the 12-year-old, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
We have
great.
to put down those expectations.
Yep.
Now let's see. That's cool. Good cowboy up behavior there. Yes. That's so cool. I have notes. Do you guys know that I keep notes? All right. So let's see. Feet. And this is one of the biggest ones that people ask, how are they with their feet? Now, it doesn't matter if you're dealing with a wild or not, but especially a wild. Nobody's ever touched their feet before, so we don't know how they are with their feet.
Right. Yep. And donkeys, they all will get good with their feet. Some will just take more time than others.
Mm-hmm. Recognizing how they feel so that we can go. Every time I have one that is like nervous with their feet, I always have to slow down to get it. Now, I shouldn't say always because that hardly never applies, right? There's been some times that I use a rope to teach them their feet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not super often. Not super often.
Maybe 1 out of 25.
Yeah. Normally, it just comes down to helping them feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the more consistent we are working with them, remember a minimum of 15 minutes a day is what we want with a wild. And then if you have one that's domestic, like wild donkey, she's already trained.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't get every day. Our 12-year-old viewer here, she's already done a Mustang too.
Ha!
That is so awesome. Any tips and concerns or considerations for farrier training prep for your donkey? Getting them used to having two people next to them is something that.
Yes, and that's something we ran into where MaryJo or myself will have a donkey who is doing well with her feet. But then we overlook the fact that the stranger dangers might kick in when this farrier they've never met before comes and wants to handle their feet. So try and get somebody you trust and is brave. Have somebody else handle their feet before the farrier comes if they're ready to have their feet handled. And here's something that I run into that MaryJo bails me out of oftentimes. I'll be getting a donkey who's letting me get away with murder, okay? And I'm like, man, he's gonna be ready to pick up those back feet, and I will go too fast, and whang, I got a foot flying out. The donkey will kick because it's just simply uncomfortable. And sometimes it works. The donkey's like, fine, here's my foot. Okay, no big deal. And those are gift donkeys for us. But your average donkey, I tend to go too fast. So MaryJo's got to step in and work with these donkeys' feet. It'll take you 2 or 3. You go 2 or 3 days longer than I would have anticipated. But the finished product of going ever so slow on those feet, just a little bit further every day, when they're ready to pick up their feet, it's solid. It's a solid foundation. There's no fuss about it.
Once they're comfortable enough with us, like petting them and touching them everywhere, and I mean, like their chest, their butt, going down their legs, once they're comfortable with that, typically 1 week's time, and sometimes less, but a week's time of consistent daily training,
Yes.
they'll be picking up their feet and they will be relaxed about it. Now, something else you could add into that, Banjo, so you got other people, but some of us where we live or who's coming over or who's going to be the crash dummy, sometimes that's not always real, right? But what could you add as a stressor? Like, let's just say we brought Calamity down. Calamity is our dog, right? Calamity Jane after the Wild West. So if we bring her down to the barn and tie her up, that would be a stressor to the donkeys.
Yep.
Now we could go ahead and work with the donkey with that added stress, but slow down to the pace that they're ready for. So if they were picking up their foot just fine yesterday, now you bring in the stressor, and I'm going to use Calamity as an example. So we bring her down there, tie her up. Now the donkey is a little bit more alert. When we go to work with his feet or her feet, we're going to start at petting it and checking in. Are you okay with this? And if they are, we can ask for them to pick it up. Now remember, when I'm asking them to pick it up, my only goal is that they go on their toe. And then I can rub their leg, and while I'm rubbing it, I'm the footer and Dan's the odor. And then if they're good with that, I start to kind of not grip, but I kind of grab their leg and pull up, like I'm pulling up a bottle of pop or something. Now, if putting enough grip on their leg that I could pick up a bottle of pop, if their leg doesn't come up, they're still not scap. Remember, scap is soft, centered, accurate, and punctual. If they're a little too nervous to be that light with their foot, they're not going to be light when I put it on my knee. So you can add all these things with a little stressor, and you can just use your creativity. What does your donkey get stressed about? And then add a little stressor in to try to help create that increased comfort, right? All right, that's crazy. That's a good YouTube name there. New donkey seems nervous about everything and don't know when to teach new things. She progresses and then she seems to test how little she can get away with. I'm very gentle with her and I babying her too much. Okay,
This
so
is,
new
this
donkey.
is a wild. Is this a wild?
Yeah, and let us know if it's wild.
Because there are two different ways to go there. If it's a domestic that has been tame.
It kind of makes me think of Lord Farquaad.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Lord Farquaad. And still, that's crazy. Let us know It's okay. It's a domestic. Okay, so we're gonna use Lord Farquaad as an example. So, and just think about if this sounds like your donkey. Lord Farquaad does happen to be a wild donkey. He's 9 years old, and he was accepting touch. He was targeting nose and head and neck. We could halter him. I've introduced leading once, and then when I started working with his legs, he got nervous, and he started to kick out. Now, what's interesting about his name is Elton John, okay, but he has a nickname of Lord Farquaad. The reason he has this nickname is he likes to boss around the other donkeys that aren't even in the pen. He'll try to boss around Dan. He'll try to boss around me. So then it's like, oh, I think I need to get him on that respect side. He has too much trust and not enough respect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to work on clearing the front. We're going to get some respect going. I go down there to do this, guys, and I was even going to record for you. I couldn't put the lead rope onto the halter. He's like, nope. So then I sit and I give this thought, and this is what I do a lot. I just think about, how do I get through to this animal? Well, Lord Farquaad, the reason he has this nickname, he'll follow me around the pen. He'll, even if I'm not in it, he'll follow me around. He's curious. He wants to be involved. But then he says, oh my gosh, I'm curious and I want to be involved, but I'm scared, so I want to get more control.
Yeah.
Now, if that's your donkey, firming up is not going to do it. You need to help create coping skills. You need to raise a little bit of stress and then stand there with them for as long as it needs while they relax, and then do it again. A little bit of stress and then stand with them while they relax, because that's where we're building the coping skills. It's not demanding respect. It is helping them feel comfortable. Remember, they want to see your resume. They want 10 references, 1 month to review your resume, and 3 months for you to prove that your resume is accurate. That's what they want. Let's see. Did we answer your question? That's crazy. I'm going to say you're not being too gentle. Now, let's say I'm working with Lord Farquaad and I'm asking him to move and he's not. I wouldn't stop asking him to move. I would increase my energy until he moved 1 step or leaned away so I can see that he's trying to find the answer. And then I would release that pressure.
Yep.
So decrease what you're asking for and keep working on giving them lots of breaks so they can have that decompressed time where they decide that you are safe. And when you're not sure of the previous handling, I would just take everything as they can give it to you so that you're creating it. With a donkey, if they were not given a good deal or not treated very well, they can take a long time to move past it.
Yep. And remember, donkeys like to succeed. So make sure early on you're rewarding the try. What that means is, let's say we're working on a front foot, and the donkey's now comfortable with us rubbing our hand down to their foot. And this is the first time we're going to put any pressure to lift up, see if that foot will come up. Even if they just lean away, okay, like in preparation for maybe thinking about taking the weight off their foot, that's a success. That's a try. You break it down, reward those little tries like that. And you can go just a teeny bit further every time. That's the proper way. That's not the Dan way. That's the MaryJo way.
Yes, I go slow, and Dan, he kind of does, not literally, but a little bit more of the caveman style.
Caveman?
I don't know.
Well, a sophisticated version of a caveman.
Okay, the sophisticated, I like it. And it's not caveman. He's not being mean or anything. I mean, I don't know any caveman. Maybe they weren't mean at all, but direct and this is what I want your hat, I'm taking it, right?
Yep.
And you can get away with that sometimes. I would never even try, and Dan gets away with that kind of stuff a lot. But then Corey is watching, and Lewis is going to Corey, and you were playing around with his feet, Lewis's feet, and he was kicky, so I just came and I went slow, and he's like an angel with his feet.
He went so well down to the picking the foot up part with me. He would kick out because I was just simply going too fast. So MaryJo jumped in and threw me out of the ring and took over that. Now he's an angel with his feet. Just simply by rewarding a try and being patient and realizing you're not going to lift that foot up this session. It's going to be the second Tuesday next week we're going to do that. And MaryJo's very methodical with her recipe.
Now, that video is out there, guys, of because Dan has to do the graduation videos. He's got
Yeah.
to be the person doing the activity with the donkey because I'm the trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very funny. He did a whole Savari skit, so you have to go in there and watch that.
True story.
All right, so we got that's crazy says she loves are you a girl or a boy? That's crazy says they love our channel. Thank you. And then let's see, banjo. How is increased energy different from increased pressure? Well, I don't know necessarily that it is banjo. Like increased energy, I might pick up my feet higher. I might stomp my foot if I'm asking one to move. I might make my arms bigger. But it like if I'm using a flag, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm waving my flag more, but I could be. Do you think it's different? Energy and pressure?
Well, it's the same question. You're just asking it uh, more
Banjo.
directly.
Banjo says.
Yeah, you're asking the donkey the same question, but you're asking it louder.
Not literally with your voice, guys, but
Right. Your actions are over animate your actions when you're asking the same question. You're not making the question more complicated.
we're in my office and it's hot in here. I can't believe I'm saying that. All right, so let's see. What's the order of training that we like to do? So when I'm working with a wild, I like to get them okay with me. You know, working with these different wilds, like we got banjo or
What do you
sorry,
mean by okay with you?
okay, like are they curious enough to follow me? I like that. It's so darn helpful with your gentling a wild.
Yes.
Like so, what I mean by that is I come into the pen and they turn and they come towards me. That's helpful.
That's a good day when they do that.
So you know that you're getting some trust then, and even before that, I'm going to be introducing the halter. I'm often working with feet at the same time that I'm leading. I don't really care so much if I'm doing leading or feet first because we teach them to do their feet without a lead rope on 90% of the time.
And okay, so when we're starting the process with a new wild donkey, our first milestone, our first big high five, jump up and down and cheer when the donkeys aren't around, is when we can pet both sides of the donkey.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides. You're gonna find they're gonna have one side they're fine with and the other side they're not. It could be left side, right side. There doesn't really seem to be a pattern. So that's our first milestone is when we can pet them and they don't flinch like a flatlander them. You want to be able to pet them and they don't flinch. Our next milestone is introduction to the halter. Obviously, you can't introduce the halter unless you can stand alongside the donkey. So that's our next milestone. It's the halter. Once they're haltering like a champ, then it's leading practice. Clearing fronts is a big one for leading. And then this is for our gentling program. Once they lead, we're simultaneously working on feet and introduction to a trailer.
Now,
Because some of them, they're loading in the trailer before their feet are done. Some of them's feet are done before they load in the trailer.
some of them are lifting up their feet before they lead.
Yeah. Who was that?
Well, heck, or even at the same time, like Tony, I'm working with his feet and leading at the same time.
Right.
Um, Lewis, I was doing his feet before I was doing much with leading. I feel like I'm doing more with feet, and the reason is leading doesn't take much time.
Oh.
Not for this gentling program that we do, where really they need to follow more than lead. To lead, that's a whole nother level.
Right.
Okay, but following, like I'm getting them comfortable enough to want to be with me. So I think I'm doing feet more often before I'm even leading them. Husband and wife, we both think we're doing different things.
Yep.
And you know what? We could be switching it up sometimes depending on our mood or what the donkey seems ready for.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that we do. And I want to add one more to what you said, Dan. You talked about touch as the first thing. Well, if you're working with a wild donkey, because we have some new ones in the pens, right? And they're not all necessarily curious, just for them to be okay with being in our presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did a clinic for our adoption event. So I did a clinic with 2 new wild donkeys. that I had never touched before. It was really interesting. So this was the first time we had done an adoption event, and we thought we needed to have this much pen space.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was going to use for the clinics, I thought, well, I'll just have them rest in this pen, and then I'll put them back in the training pen and alternate them every approximately 15 minutes. Well, doing that with two new wild donkeys for almost 2 hours, that didn't go very well.
They were pretty used up at the end of 2 hours. It was simply just too much for them.
And you know what they learned is that I brought them into that training pen for the clinic, and that's where the pressure was. And then when I was done with them, I would switch them. So now the one that I just got done working with went into the pen behind where people couldn't watch because of how our pens are set up. And that's where they got to rest. So where did they find comfort? In the resting pen, not the working pen.
Mm-hmm.
So the last time that I put them into the working pen, I almost couldn't get those donkeys to move. Like the first time ever, I thought I was going to have to quit without moving these donkeys. I was jumping up and down, stomping my feet, waving flags like, oh my gosh. It was interesting. I will do it differently next time. So helping them feel comfortable in your presence, I think, is the first thing.
Yeah, that's definitely, you got to accomplish that before you can even try to get a touch. And being comfortable, our pens are 24 by 24, our training pens. So it's a good sign when they're not nervous sharing a pen with you. When they might not want, it's great when they halfway across the pen because they're curious.
Right.
It's still successful if they're, even if they're over in the corner, but they turn and they're facing you and they're not showing a parrot lip and wrinkly lips and.
Well, they still might. They still might have those, but still be curious.
But my point is, you want them to be blinking. You don't want a parrot lip. It's nice to see them be relaxed while sharing a pen with you, even if all you're asking for is, are you comfortable sharing a pen with me?
Right. So that's kind of the order. Once they can do those basic things, then we are on to clearing the front, building circles, disengaging or rolling the hinds, returning to the circle, asking them to start building a circle and stopping, because all of that is part of learning to communicate with each other so that we can go on to do bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm.
And we have more questions here.
All right, what do we got?
Let's see. Increased pressure. We did that one. That's that one. I'm not sure how to build the training. So, Larry, we have coaching and memberships that I break things down even more. So that could be something that you think about. But how to build the training, start small. Think about, what do you want to do? Are you doing a competition with these donkeys that you're training, or are you just training them for your own fun? But when I'm thinking about a donkey, I want to be able to halter it and lead it. Now, putting a lead rope onto the halter can be a big deal at the beginning. Like right now, I can't do it on Lord Farquaad. And then I want to be able to lead him, and then I want to be able to put him in the trailer and pick up their feet. Like, that's all the basic stuff that I want to be able to do. But then we have to keep growing that, right? So I would start with the basics and get that really good where they're super comfortable.
So cowboy crew, you've had your donkeys for about a month and they haven't gotten noisy yet. No braying. No problem. Some donkeys will, 20 minutes after you unload them from the trailer, they're hee-hawing, announcing to the world that they have arrived. Some of them, it may be months until they get loud when they see you. They'll get there though. They'll get there. They're individuals. It might be tomorrow or it might be in 6 months, but they'll get there.
Be patient and accept every little tiny win. So you guys know that I'm working with Richard, and most of his stuff is on the memberships, the Burro Trainer membership level. But when I get the most back from him, it really is from me releasing pressure when he looks at me out of the corner of his eye. Like, I'm breaking it down so teeny tiny to what I'm saying, thank you, you found the right answer.
Okay, that's crazy, Scott. Another donkey that has extreme separation problems. Have you fixed this issue? It makes things difficult. I tried to separate pens, but she gets sad and won't eat and brays 24/7.
So we keep them in the same pen unless we're working with them. And we have had that. We actually even had one pass because it had separation. I was working with Seamus, and it jumped a fence, and it was T-post fence, and it punctured itself,
Mm-hmm.
and it died. It was our daughter's mammoth. So, yeah, separation is real. They really do love each other.
Yeah. So if you're trying to work with one donkey, you get two donkeys. They're um, bonded up. One's braying and heartbroken, won't eat. Um, Maybe just move it to one pen over so they can share a panel when you're trying to work with the other donkey. Um,
Do you let them be together when you're not training? And are you comfortable separating them when it's time to train, right? Um, we totally let ours. So we have like 10 in our training pens,
mm-hmm.
and we let them all be together unless we're working with them. So when I go down there and I separate them, they each go into their own pen, and some of them flip out. I've had them knock over panels. Um, some of them absolutely flip out, but they learn to cope with that. Remember, we're teaching them coping skills. So and think about this when you're training. When I go down there and I separate them in their pens, that's stressor number one. And then I clean their pens, there's stressor number two. And then I go ask them something, that's overload.
Yeah. Yep.
So I go down there and I separate them or I sort them, separate them out, clean their pens, and then they get a break. Decompress, they learn to cope. And then I go start training them or gentling them.
So she'll put her in the arena and she runs laps when she works with the other one. Put her there because she will get out of regular fencing.
Mm-hmm.
That little bugger.
So let them have little stints of being separated. Remember Blackjack and Joker? They used to almost run us over when we would separate them.
That's right. How did we do that? We did. Was it just
We
separated?
let them work it out.
Yeah, but we would separate. Not. I watched this from another trainer. Or I read it. Very short separation periods, a couple of minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then maybe 15 minutes. It was explained to me similar to like having a barn sour horse that won't leave the property, and you're not going to fix that all at once, but you are going to go for a short ride 100 yards from the barn, turn around, come back. Next ride 150 yards from the barn, and then 200 yards, and then 250, and then pretty soon you're working all the way up to a half a mile. And during this process, they're going to get used to understanding that the world's not going to end. They will see the barn again, and they develop some coping skills. So to help your donkey develop some coping skills, try separating for 5 minutes, and then when they can do that, try 7 minutes. And the minute they calm down whatsoever, reward that calming down by immediately letting them get back to her buddy.
Another thing you could do too is separate them in their two pens and give them food. Give them
She
their
said
hay.
she won't eat.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I would do small stints, separate them, and they don't need to be separated for very long, and you can increase that as time goes on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Banjo says he can't wait to take our training. I know, Banjo, I know you were thinking about doing the gentling camp, and we would love that. That would be absolutely awesome. All right, how should I train my donkey to be able to tie down so I can saddle up? So, we have a high line in our barn that I like to use for teaching them to tie. And it's not that I use it every single time, but I tie them up, and as soon as they relax, I untie them.
Yep.
They don't need to be tied up for even 5 minutes to begin with. But eventually I want them to be tied up for 5 hours.
Right.
Yep.
And donkeys learn being tied training really quick. They're smart. They may brace back on that leader up a time or 5, but real quick to figure out that this doesn't work because they brace on that rope and they get pressure on their pole, and they are very smart. They'll figure out, well, I better stand here with a smile
No,
in that
I
line.
don't agree with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I was recording for the tie up, and I do the coaching, not whatever. I can't talk. This is a common problem for me, you guys. I do the masterclass with Ty Evans, and I'm recording what I'm doing for my assignments, and I think it was tied up in the background. We were in the barn, and sat there and he pushed down on his halter and he pawed like for an hour while I'm in there training.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't just learn, he just kept fighting it. But the way we helped him learn was to be tied up for a little bit,
Oh yeah.
and then let him go be bored where he's not with his friends, and then tie him up. Make being tied up good.
Right, and don't be afraid to tie them, because if they do brace back, they generally don't have a blowout, the same blowout that a horse does.
Not normally.
Yeah, there's a far different. A donkey temper tantrum is far less dramatic than a horse temper tantrum.
Most of the time. You gotta be careful with that. I've seen some crazy donkey temper tantrums. Seamus did one of the best ones. He did some double bucks with a pack saddle on. Oh my gosh, that was good. All right, let's see. And the other one about the separation anxiety, the more you do stuff with them, like you could have both of them in the pen and you work with your donkey, you're teaching them some skills and some coping skills while the other donkey is there. Then you switch which donkey you're working with. They're going to keep learning and feeling good about themselves and you as their leader as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, let's see. What other kind of things do we have for safety? The Lord Farquaad, I think I already kind of explained that. When he gets nervous, he wants to be involved, but he's also scared, so he wants control.
Mm-hmm.
That makes him not safe for a kid right now. He was going to be going to a kid, but we pulled the plug on that because he's not going to be safe right now.
Yeah, he wants to. His safe space is being in control.
So we have to help him through that, and I'm working with him to help him through that, and he's going to take the time that he needs. We don't know how long.
He'll get there when he gets there.
Yeah. So let's see here. I'm just looking at my notes for other things I wanted to do. We already talked about the adoption. So, guys, when people ask if donkeys are safe, the better question is, where are they at in the process? Like, what can they do? What do they feel confident with? Because when we make them confident with one thing, it's easier to make them confident with the second thing. And when we make them confident with the first and second thing, it's easier to make them confident with the third. It's like climbing a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
We can keep just growing with it. But every time you work with them, start at the beginning. Because that's when we find out if they're having an off day.
Yes.
That's when we find out if there's a rattlesnake hiding in the barn. Right? And they're all uptight and we don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and little things. This really isn't a safety question, but with a wild or a new to you donkey who's got some issues they're working through, little things. It's spring. People are finally mowing their lawns for the first time of the year, depending where you are in the country. Your donkey may have never seen a riding lawnmower, even though it's a half mile away, and you may find that they'll be a little bit preoccupied that, and you're wondering, geez, wow, what's going on? I can't figure it out. But we're doing the same thing as yesterday. The difference might be that riding lawnmower a half mile away.
I was trying to catch Daphne one day. You were burning weeds on the property or grass on the property.
Yeah.
And the smoke was kind of coming to us. So Dan has it was kind of like a flamethrower kind of thing that you were burning.
A weed burner.
Yeah. And boy, oh boy, was Daphne hard to catch. And then, when she was so nervous, what she wanted to do is she wanted to push into me. Right? So that day when I went out to train and she was so nervous about that, well, guess what? We never worked past haltering, because more important than I can get the halter on is that she feels good about it, because that's where we're building up those coping skills. So how much hay you should feed your donkey is a question that just came up.
Yes.
And you're feeding 1.5% to 2% of their body weight. Now, I have a video out there on how to guesstimate your donkey's weight based on some different measurements and some funky math. And then, so let's say your donkey weighs 500 pounds. That's 2%. If you went with 2%, 10 pounds.
1.5% would be 75 pounds. Yep.
Wait, no.
7.5 pounds.
Per day. Mm-hmm. So then we would give half of that in the morning and half of that in the evening. Now, if your donkey is obese, like Seamus, You can go, our vet said that we could bring Seamus down to 1% of his body weight a day. So Seamus weighs, what, 650 pounds or whatever. Um, so he can have 6.5 pounds of hay per day.
We had a brand inspector that thought he weighed 800 pounds. He's so fat.
We had a 15-hand horse that weighed that much. So it's crazy. He has big fat pockets.
What are some situations that everything seemed fine but turned dangerous real quick?
Oh boy, with a donkey. That's a really good question.
You know, remember when I put Juliet through a panel? Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a donkey who, you know, an example of the errand boy being allowed in the pen to help train donkeys. She was haltering, and we were just beginning to learn how to walk, to lead in a circle in a 24 by 24 pen. I was trying to get as much done. I was taking big steps. I'm getting away with murder, which I was doing it the wrong way. I didn't pay attention to the signs. I didn't pay attention to the parrot lip. I didn't pay attention to she wasn't blinking anymore. And that donkey blew up. And while no one humans got injured, she did run through the training panels in the next pen, and
knocked him over.
the panels went flying. And that was caused by I was just going too fast.
Asking for too much. She didn't understand.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Larry just asked a really good follow-up question. Were there any signs or even quick ones that signaled that danger? So, did she freeze? What did she do right before she jumped? This was like over a year ago, guys.
She had froze, and I encouraged her to move with a flag.
So she was frozen. At that point, that's their go-to. What they would most like to do most of the time is freeze. So then you add too much pressure and you go over. I had one knock over 4 panels in the last month.
Yeah.
I was sorting them. Dan wasn't home. And right before he jumped up and knocked over all the panels, his body was extremely tense. You know, like if you were going to get ready to jump something, how tense you would have to make your body, that's how his body was. Another one that I can think of is I was working with Don Poncho, and I was teaching him to lead by the foot. I was asking for too much. Instead of just asking for him to think about picking up his foot, I was asking for him to pick up his foot and move it towards me. He got scared. He darted forward and kicked out. Thankfully, I wasn't in kicking range because he would have hit me right in the chest. That turned dangerous. And then using a rope on Joe got dangerous. You wanted me to stop training that donkey.
Yep.
Because he was rearing up and he wanted to kick.
But there were signs.
Asking for too much too soon. Watching for how tense they get. Oh, here's another one. Lord Farquaad. Lord Farquaad, he puts his head kind of low and then he angles it just a tad. It's a defensive posture. And I was recognizing it before I knew for sure what it was. And then he tried to bite Dan. So
There was a chaotic situation that involved food at feeding time. And he was trying to manage everyone, and he turned and tried to manage me. And I kind of think he couldn't stop himself. He bit my shirt pretty good. He didn't get no skin. But that situation there was chaos. Multiple donkeys, hungry, feeding time.
Corey, this is really smart. One thing that might be good to note as far as safety is concerned is don't let the size of the donkey make you feel safer. My worst donkey-related injury came from Romeo, a much smaller than others. What happened with Romeo? Oh dear. So yeah, don't think that because a donkey is smaller it can't hurt you. It doesn't even matter if it's a mini. They are big, they're fast, and they can absolutely hurt you.
They got really good biting strength.
Could you go over the way to feed per day again? 1.5% to 2% of their body weight per day. So that's total, not more than 2%. Now, if you have a really young one, I would do more than that. Like we let our young ones have more than that.
Yeah, we got young ones that have their faces in a round bale right now.
So yeah, don't underestimate your donkey. Oh gosh, I don't know what was happening, and I don't think it was Seamus. I think it was a different donkey we had. Bit the kid's hand, and the kid had to take a shoe and throw it at the donkey.
Seamus did that?
And no, I think it was Marvelous Marvin.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember who. I don't know what the kids were doing. I wasn't out there with them, but yeah. All right, let's see what else I have in my notes. Now, remember, guys, that there's very specific ways that we work through things, especially with timing and pressure, right? Because it can be hard to know when to apply more pressure and when to work on just getting them comfortable, right? Like those are two very different things, and you have to have one. And then sometimes you have a donkey who's learning that they can get away with something, and then you got to deal with that differently. So
yes,
we have that in our memberships. If you guys are interested, memberships and coaching, we do clinics and camps here. So we have lots of different things that help break everything down step by step. Now, we are going to change the time going forward here for at least probably the summer. Yeah. Because I want to do drill team, guys, and it's at 6:30 on Sundays. So I think we're going to do noon, right? Lunchtime.
Noon, lunchtime. We'll go down and work in the morning and then come up to the barn midday and get you guys all caught up.
Heck yeah. So starting next week, we're going to change the time. I don't know until when. Like, this could be until wintertime comes in again. But we're going to change it to noon. So noon Mountain Standard Time going forward. And if you guys
same day.
Yeah, same day. Stoic Sundays is on Sunday, right? Heck yeah.
I suggested Wait For It Wednesdays.
We might add that. Maybe that'll be a members only one. Wait For It Wednesdays. I like that. That's catchy. Dan does catchy stuff all by himself. Like, he doesn't have to try. Me, I have to research and think about things for a long time to have stuff catchy. Yeah, it's not my go-to thing.
It's a good thing only one of us can do that because it'd get pretty saucy around here.
All right. Do you guys have any other questions? When you guys are thinking about the donkeys, don't think that they're automatically safe or dangerous. Take your donkey for what it is that day, because you can have the most dead broke donkey. And if you guys don't know what that means, it means a donkey that's been there and done that. It knows what it's supposed to do. You feel completely 100% safe around it. Those are the donkeys that you get hurt around the most, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then as far as being safe around your family pet, your chickens, your goats, your
emus and your alpacas. And
yeah.
Yes, your 4-H bunny rabbits.
They need to be introduced slowly.
Yes.
No compliancy. I like that. Yeah. Because that's when things really go wrong. Just because they like to think doesn't mean that they're not capable of reacting fast.
Mm-hmm.
No way. And we have so many new ones now that we're bringing in, because we got old ones that we've been working with since December, our harder ones. We got let's see, Tony is almost ready to graduate. He's not going to take long. And then we have Lord Farquaad. I don't know how long he's going to take.
He might be here for Christmas.
And then we have Red and Richard, and those guys are both making progress. I actually have introduced leading to Richard. I cannot believe it. Right now, he's ahead of Red.
He is. He is. Not for long, though.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're starting to come around.
And then
a little bit.
We got 5 new ones that we're bringing in. 5, something like that. A whole slew of new ones that are just starting, right? So we're going to have a lot of new case studies, if you want to call them that, but new donkeys that we're going to be working with and learning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen there's one that we brought in. They don't have names yet. We're calling them the new kids because we need to learn their personalities before they get a name.
And there's one of those new kids. I don't know the number. He has that separation anxiety. I gave you the backstory, and we call them the new kids. One's a little bigger than the other, but they look the same. And here's what's interesting. I don't know the backstory. Y'all can speculate on your own time. But for whatever reason, these 2 4-year-olds were just made available for us to pick up from a long-term holding center. They're 4-year-old facility born. So that means they're born in long-term holding 4 years ago. They were captured from the same HMA, born at the same long-term holding area. So they've known each other their whole lives.
Their moms were captured.
Yeah, their moms were captured. Their moms were captured. They were born in captivity in a giant holding facility, so they're still wild and untouched. They just didn't live in a desert. One of them has separation anxiety pretty bad.
Yeah.
You can separate them, and one just stands there and watches the world go by, and the other one, in a couple hours, will put on a few miles in a pan back and forth. And
When I'm moving them, I'm pretty darn careful because that one with separation anxiety, I'm not worried that he's going to come after me, although I'm aware he could. I am like uber aware that he's one that might go over top of a fence.
yeah, the one that always comes up with his head real low.
Yeah, these are 5-foot fences, guys, but sometimes the donkeys think it would be a good idea to try to go over top.
They seem to hit them right in the seam between two panels where they're chained together.
And every time that happens, well, I don't know about every, because every, always, never, whatever. Often when it happens, I notice I forgot to do the bottom chain because there's a chain on top and the bottom.
Yeah, working with a freshly wild or new to you donkey, whether you have pins or chains, do them all. Don't be lazy and just do the top chain, because that's the time they're going to see their first bicycle of their life, and they're going to want out of that pen, and they're going to hit. They just seem to, by coincidence, know where to hit that panel to go through it.
And then, like when I'm working with ones that are further along, I mean, even Lord Farquaad, I don't even always latch his because his thing is not to go and run. But maybe if I'm introducing leading, I might get them latched. But if we're just working on accepting the halter, accepting my presence, working with his feet, that's not times where he's going to get elevated enough to run. But leading is one, or separating new ones is totally one. But I don't think I've had any panels ever fall over and have both the top and the bottom chain be buckled.
Right.
Oops.
Yeah. Change and pins to the top and bottom. Yep.
So that's totally a time to be careful when you're moving them. And that body language, they really tense up when they're nervous. Red used to get ready to jump. We always backed off enough before he did.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see in his body language, he was definitely thinking about going over top.
That poor guy early on, he's getting better fast. But boy, it didn't take much. He was just wound up tight like a spring.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big donkey. It's like, I bet. And he looks like he could jump.
He's formidable.
Yeah. I mean, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's red with a blonde mane. Good thing he's pretty.
Because he's time consuming. Yep. But he's
Yeah.
coming along also. And now that I quit my 9-to-5 job, I've been updating our website for Famous Seamus Farm. What else have I been doing?
Selling puppies.
Oh yeah, selling puppies. We only have one puppy left. And then, making videos. Like I got myself next week ahead, and I'm working on the following week for videos. So that's good because I kind of got inconsistent there with how much stuff is going on. Puppies, guys, are so cute, and they're absolutely disgusting. They're so cute though.
It's amazing. Yeah, they're cute and disgusting. It's amazing how they can take 10 pounds of food and turn into 20 pounds of poop.
They really do. Yeah.
Or magic.
They're magic. But, so I have a series coming out that I'm making right now that's really about behavior. And then the members only will be mostly focused on Richard. And then I will be doing more on the donkey experiment. And that's where I'm going to do one with no oats at all and one with oats. And Richard is no oats because he doesn't eat oats from my hand. He'll eat them from a pan, but not from my hand.
We've had donkeys like that before. They jumped up just fine. And to this day, I don't even know if they eat oats from a hand. They
actually both did right before they left, but they were here for like 8 months.
That's right. At the very end. Yeah. Okay.
We could even get them like sometimes in the spring. So spring is dewormer time, guys. And the dewormer that we use in the spring, you can purchase it in pellets or in a paste. And we often will use the pellets because it's simpler, especially with wild donkeys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not with those two. They wouldn't eat the dewormer that way. I had to use a paste.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't like me much when I did that, but
no, you right. No.
Oh, and one of our donkeys, Doc, he just did a photo shoot.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's not ours anymore. We sold him, and he's a beer burro now.
Has he got a job now?
Yeah, he just did a photo shoot, which is pretty cool. I got an update from his grandma.
So he carried beer for someone's photo shoot, or was a photo shoot showcasing Doc?
The photo shoot was showcasing Doc, if I understood it correctly. Yeah, so he's a famous donkey now. Pretty cool, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
He's cool. That's a donkey I was teaching to fetch.
So
then he would he'd grab everything out of your hand and run away with it.
He got really mouthy.
Yeah, real mouthy. He was he a year
He was
old?
a year when we brought him home.
Yeah, it was a fun project,
Hmm.
but you'd go try and catch another donkey, and you'd be carrying along on your lead rope, and he would just come up and retrieve the lead rope and run off with it. So
Right?
I kind of taught him to be mouthy, and he was doing great, but then
I think though that we learn from that to wait till they're mature and they understand the basic rules before you teach them something like that. Tricks come later, kids.
but
Tricks aren't for
he
kids.
was getting to. I could throw the rubber chicken, and he would go and get it and bring it almost to me, and then drop it, and then I'd have to help pick it up and put it back in his mouth. But he was getting it. You can teach a donkey to retrieve. It comes with some side effects which might not be desirable, but it can be done.
I think those side effects wouldn't happen though if they understood boundaries and not
Yeah.
taking the lead rope out of your hand. Like you'd be leading a different donkey and he would come in between you and the donkey and take the lead rope.
And yep,
Yeah.
he could learn real well. He could pick things up and carry it around in his mouth, and
Mhm.
he got rewarded for it. So I think he was constantly thinking, if I grab that lead rope, they're gonna give me something yummy.
We helped him like with that, like you're dealing with something like that, and we would just really focus on being consistent that you can't take the lead rope from us.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came around. Amos fetches.
Oh,
I'll send a
cool.
Video.
Yes,
That
I
is
wanna see that.
awesome. I love it. All right, so guys, next Sunday, we're gonna come on at noon. We'll do a lunchtime go live for Stoic Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
and watch out for the behavior ones. That's what I'm working on. I already released one of them, and then I think I'll have 4 more when I'm done. Yeah, 4 more of those. Do you have anything else to add for our go live today?
Nope. I'm ready for spring.
Me
We've got
too.
about 3 inches of snow on the ground now. I was gonna mow the lawn today, but I don't know how to put the snow plow on the lawnmower.
I'll bet you'd get rich if you figured that out.
Oh, a big market for
Big.
summertime lawn mowing, or wintertime lawn mowing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we get squeaky chickens for our donkeys, and we don't have any of them that play with them. I'm always so sad. I want them to play with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool that yours does. That's very cool. Maybe I should put a post on Facebook where people can post their silly donkeys.
Absolutely.
I will do that soon.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, guys, we're going to hit the road. You have an awesome rest of your Sunday, and we will see you during the week. That sounds funny. He just runs squeaking it around. That just sounds awesome. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in and for hitting that like button and for subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys all, and members that are on here. Thanks for supporting us by watching and being members and all your awesomeness. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Good night, guys.